I'm a little haunted by you saying that Fuentes will be the next, like, Hitler. Oh, this guy's, like, very articulate. He's smart. It is entertaining, but I'm like, he's clearly, like, a gay neo-Nazi. You rationalize all these people, you put them in this box, and you go, but they'll never... Like, no one will
That's what they said about Hitler.
No one will ever care, and he'll just always be in the gutters of society. And then, all of a sudden... First of all, I just want to say I love the rocking chair. I think Joe Rogan should do his show in rocking chairs. That would be the best if Rogan and they were just sitting across from each other, rocking back and forth. It's
kind of too relaxing, though, to have such a nice chair.
No, it's actually great. It's great for a slightly overweight man like myself, unlike my, the co-host of Lemon Party, Devan Costa, who's a great big fat guy. I shared a couch with him last night at my friend's house. We sat on a sectional. It was very... When we laid down, I let Devan put his feet in my face, and then I switched where our feet were touching. It was kind of sweet, actually, that we slept like that in an L. But I noticed Devan removed his shirt for a moment, and I noticed he's actually fatter than me, and it's disgusting, and he's a fat drunk, and I don't think he actually goes to the gym. I think it's very fake, and I'm just here to say that Devan's never actually lost weight. He's been hiding it. I think he wears, like, some sort of wrap. He wraps some gauze around his stomach when he does the podcast, or he's just sucking in the whole time. I don't know how he's never exhaling, but he's a great big fat guy. And it's good to be here.
It's great to have you with us, Ben. Welcome. Oh, Lord. Welcome to... Devan's here, too, by the way. Devan is off to the side over here.
That Ben got caught beating up a black kid in Central Park.
He takes a sip of his kombucha. No, tweet that. We're going to war. We're doing a Kendrick and Drake thing. Dude, it's so funny. A Kendrick and a Drake beef, but they just keep calling each other fat. It's so funny. Like, yo, he's so fat. He's really fat. He loves jelly donuts. Just they keep going back and forth calling each other fat pigs.
Ben, where did the fatness obsession start with you? Because you grew up in Texas. You grew up in a very conservative, religious family.
I don't know how I forget the origins for these things, but I'll tell you this short anecdote. I just went to Rose's Cafe. Shout out to Rose's Cafe, one of the great fat fuck places of Texas. Love Rose's. It's basically like a fast food Mexican restaurant in Texas. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it at all. There's probably like 25 of them. It's great because you can eat a full Mexican dinner, and then you can go up and get like 10 tortillas for like $2, and they give you a big squirt bottle of honey, and you can just put it all over the tortillas, and that's dessert. It's like one of my favorite things. But I met my mother there, and as my mother is sitting down with her tray of food, she goes, "There's a lot of bigger people in here," and she like rolled her eyes and sat down, and she kind of was I think she said sorry. She was like apologizing for the amount of fat people that were in the restaurant. I was like, oh yeah, this is where the fat obsession comes from. Is my dear mother? She hates fat people a lot. She thinks they're disgusting, and my dad will point out fatties too.
Was your father in shape?
Yeah, he's in shape. He works out a lot, and he's very tall, and he can bench a lot. But it's just my dad will be like, "Man," and he'll go like this. He'll be like, like that. I'll like look, and it's just a 300-pound man, and he'll be like, like nudging me.
Now, is it just for fat people, or is it also for, let's say, gay people?
Okay,
or
so
other undesirables.
So we used to go to this place called Joe's Pizza in Abilene, Texas, and my dad was always about getting the deals. We'd only eat out on Sundays. This is a pretty typical white Christian family thing. Sundays is really, especially like my father too. He really only ate out on Sundays. I don't know why that's the deal, but you just go out after church unless the Cowboys are playing. Then you rush home to watch them. But we would go to Joe's Pizza, get the lunch special. It would be $3.99, 2 slices of pizza, and a Coke. That's what we would get. That's my only experience with Italian food. To me, it was good. But there'd be like, it's maybe a 4-table restaurant, 5-table. people were really going in there just to pick up pizzas. You know, you go in the other room and it's the shitty mural of like Milan or like Venice or whatever, and then there's like a TV, you know, playing like wrestling in the corner, and there would always be this table of these two guys, these two kind of older guys who were just kind of like, I wouldn't describe them as gay. They were just like meek dudes in their 50s with like good hygiene and like really, really thin beards. And they kind of talk like this very softly to each other as they cut into their pizza with a knife and fork. And they were there every Sunday, but it would always bring a smile to my dad's face because he'd go, bam, bam. He'd be like, the two gay guys. The two little gay fellers over there. And he would just start laughing. He'd be like... It's just at the idea of them. And by the way, to this day, for all I know, they were professors at some nearby university, and they were friends, and they met there every Sunday. Now, that's a story I can tell myself. They were probably gay. And because if you're gay in, like, Abilene, Texas, then you're not, like, you know, you're not, you can't express your gayness at all. So then you just become this, like, Ned Flanders-y kind of really soft-spoken, really button-up shirts tucked into khaki pants kind of gay guy. Yeah. Like, it's almost like you're like a very, very gay accountant.
Here's the problem, though. You are so into fat people, you know, seeking your white whale like Captain Ahab, that isn't there like that quote about, you know, seek not monsters lest you become one. So I think it's a similar thing with like Chris Chan or like any of these online weirdos. Like people start obsessing over them. And I think the problem is like we just get so much into it that we start becoming the things that we have like this shout and Freud about. Do you notice that there may be like a level of unhealthiness about looking at these unhealthy and weird people all the time that, you know, you can't help but take some of it into yourself?
I was talking to one of your friends about this last night, like how much like the attitude informs the ideology, or is it the ideology informs the attitude behind these things, right? Like you're never really sure where these things come from, because sometimes people go, oh, well, that conservative guy, he's obsessed with, you know, talking about the sins of the gay community because he himself is gay. So that informed his attitude, informed his ideology, and not the inverse, right? This is kind of a basic thing we know. So, I mean, I'm not really sure how these things do come about in the psyche and how they express themselves. What's the exact question though? What was the exact question?
Do you find that you're picking up certain psychological habits from the
for
things
sure.
that you observe all the time?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess you sort of you kind of become what you think about, right? Like it was revealed on InfoWars that Alex Jones watches like transgender pornography. I know some very right-wing conservative guys who talk about sodomites all the time, or in fact have a history of committing acts of gay sex. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make it sound like a crime, but to them it is committing acts of gay sex.
Or look like Nick Fuentes, for instance. Nick Fuentes is very popular.
That's another guy, yeah.
because of all the Catboy Cammy, Coomer innuendo.
I know people who know him. He's insanely gay. And I've watched documentaries, like I've watched things about him where like people have gone through like his apartment with like a black light,
Yes,
and
they come detective.
Dude,
exactly.
That is so funny. I've never seen someone on the internet who's so obviously a closeted homosexual more than that guy.
He may be our next Hitler. And here's
You
why.
think so?
Here's why. If you look at the history of the Nazi Party, there were so many gay people who were getting into that sort of thing, including Ernst Röhm, you know, with the scar on his face, who Hitler ended up ousting. And he wanted to make like an even bigger revolution than the one that Hitler made back in the day. And he was also like this mix of, you know, this gay dude, but like very tough and very mean. And, you know, he would beat people up all the time. And like his whole crowd there, they were a bunch of thugs. But during the Weimar Republic, they had like these gangs of gay people that would go around and like beating people up and then having orgies. So I definitely see there being a link to this kind of Dionysian desire to, you know, have sex, but also to fight people, just to do everything that requires all of this outwards energy that you can't really transmute into anything else.
You think it's like in Fuentes' like psyche, it's like this masculine thing that he wants to like. That's how you exert the most dominance is by having sex with another man.
Yeah,
like, do you think it's a lot about power for a guy like that?
That's why he says that dating women is gay. Because
and he's into grooming now. I've seen those clips where he says there's nothing wrong with grooming because if you meet a girl when she's 10, you know she's a virgin, which holy shit, I can't believe he's even entering that territory. And then if you groom her up until the age of consent, then you know she's still a virgin when you marry her, which is it's pedophilic.
There aren't going to be any borders anymore as far as people wanting to get the juiciest content. Things that we're not allowed to talk about, those are going to be the things that are going to take center stage. And I'm not a fan of censorship, but it is an interesting thing to observe just how far down the rabbit hole, through the various 9 gates of hell we're going to go. Like, how far do you think it's going to get when it comes to what people are going to consider to be the new normal, like 10 years from now?
I'll start here. Fuentes is back on Twitter. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah,
Elon let him back on. That dude is built for Twitter. And especially now, he can say anything on... You can say anything on... I see the N-word, hard R.
Yeah.
You can call a black guy the N-word on there, right? I think Anthony Cumia is doing it all day, pretty much. If you think Fuentes is really the next... When you said... I haven't thought of it this way. Yeah. But when you said he's possibly the next Hitler, where he leads some sort of uprising in America, some kind of like, do you see him actually like creating some sort of militia? I think everybody should. To go back to your other point, I do believe everybody should be allowed to like be on X or whatever.
Yeah.
And it is good that Elon's letting everybody back on. But then when I see his account, I go, "Fuck, he's so good at this." He's
not a dumb guy.
He's going to ratio Shapiro and all these guys into fucking oblivion, and embarrass all of them. He's cooler than all of them. He's quicker than all of them. I would say he's more intelligent. He knows more about. He has a deeper understanding of world history, and
I mean, I'd say that it's a flawed understanding, but usually.
Yes.
Usually the people who are like the milquetoast conservatives, they don't even bother going down the kind of route that, let's say, Curtis Yarvin, another great BTR guest, by the way, ends up going down, and I think it's to their fault. Like, luckily, there are people out there like Vladislav Davidson from the Atlantic Council, very pro-Ukraine guy who I had debating with Curtis Yarvin, and then they became friends. And that's like such a rare thing, because usually people end up being in their little groups, and they have no idea what's going on outside of them, which is kind of like the mission of this show, to try to shatter that.
Right, okay. Oh, so it's got it.
Yeah, those are the rules, that people set for themselves, exactly. But getting back to your dad, because I'm very curious as far as your religious upbringing, though, you were very Christian, you'd say, growing up. You were afraid that you were going to go to hell.
Yeah, the sect is Church of Christ.
Church of Christ.
Yeah.
And what do they believe in?
So I think I looked it up once. I believe it makes up like 0.8% of all Christian sects.
Yeah.
Catholicism is like 77%, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure on the exact data. I say that to say, when I was growing up, I thought everybody knew what Church of Christ was, and I thought it was kind of the center of the universe. I had we had churches split over like PowerPoints, where there would be I don't know, are you a church-going guy?
I actually went to Catholic school when I was young, when I was like 6, 7 years old. I got into Catholic school in Brooklyn. My friend had my friend's parents were in the Italian mafia.
Okay.
They grew tomatoes in the front yard. It was actually a very blessed existence. They're great people. I wish the mafia came back, basically. But, I mean, with the things that are going on in New York right now, they probably should make a comeback.
Yeah, they should actually, and take over.
Yeah, kicking out all of the squatters, that are taking over people's homes right now.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway. I grew up when my parents were not religious at all, even though my mom is Jewish. My dad didn't really have a religion. It was the USSR, so even when I say she was Jewish, like, she wasn't, like, practicing or anything. Because, like, back in the day, Jews had to be photographed when they went into the synagogue in the USSR, and this is, like, after they were finally allowed to go into the synagogue. and that was for keeping track, and it was labeled that they were Jewish on their ID card as well.
Really?
Yeah, even though the question what is a Jew? Is it like a race? Is it a religion? A little bit of both, and it kind of frustrates people. They know what the fuck are these people? But they were documented and photographed, and there was a lot of anti-Jewish stuff going on during the USSR after Stalin because of Israel. And here's why. Because you could say that Stalin created Israel in a way. Like Joseph Stalin really helped to get the whole Israel thing going, but then Israel decided, we don't want to be a bunch of commies. We'd rather work with the United States than Russia.
And this was in the 50s?
Yeah, and then Stalin got really pissed off, and then the USSR came up with the term Palestinian.
Interesting. So they were kind of invented a little bit?
A little bit. Arafat was an agent of the USSR.
Wow. And this was when all the intelligence agencies in America were forming, and it kind of all makes sense.
And that's when you got the colleges to do the whole anti-Israel, pro-Palestine stuff. That was the beginning of it, because Soviet money was going into the universities.
And cut to present day, you have a guy going, ooh, 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 ah, ah, ah.
It seems like a plant. It seems like, I don't know, the whole American flag suspenders thing. It's too colorful for me to believe that was just an organic thing that was happening.
Yeah.
And the other weird thing is that there aren't actually a lot of black people who are in support of Palestine. I'm not really noticing that. There's a lot of preppy white kids and the Arabians and people like that, but not really seeing a lot of black people on that side.
Yeah, you don't see, when you see videos of the protests and whatnot, that's what you mean,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. So that was the whole thing just felt a little bit artificial. But right now it's still being funded by the various Arabic countries, especially Iran. Iran is a really big funder, even though Iran is Shiite rather than Sunni, and there's that whole war between them, Game of Thrones style thing going on. Yeah, who's supposed to be the official successor to the Prophet Muhammad and all that. But anyway, I understand. Look, I listen to Lemon Party a lot, so I understand how you guys feel.
I don't know
about
why,
the
but
whole
thank
thing. Here's the only thing that I would say. I feel incredibly bad for anytime, obviously, children dying is an incredibly horrible thing.
Yeah.
Imagine, if you will, a situation where you were an IDF soldier and the other side has given bombs and guns to teenagers and kids intentionally, so that the press comes in and photographs them, and now they're attacking you. You as Ben Avery, what the fuck do you do in that situation? You could either, these are kids, I would rather die, and I would rather, the buddies around me die rather than kill kids. Sure, that's an option. But then, as a human being, are you able to do that?
Right. So would you say you're Jewish?
That's a good question. I don't believe in Judaism as far as the religion goes.
Do you think Judaism is a race?
No, I think what Judaism is people repeating the same thing over and over again, which is what I think race is in general, but race is that much longer. Race is that in tens of thousands of years in the process. With Judaism, it's people repeating things over and over again, as far as focusing on the family, reading the Torah all the time. When they came to New York, they were not allowed to work in the hospital. So what they did is they built their own hospital, Maimonides Hospital. So, they don't, even though there's this whole thing about, AIPAC and the government, the U.S. government gives a lot of money to Israel and all of that, as far as Jewish families themselves, they don't rely on handouts from the government in order to function. They would rather build their own stuff, do their own thing, and always focus on studying, kind of the Asians do with the Tiger Moms. So that's one thing that I like about that culture a lot, and do wish that other people did it. The only problem is that if you're good at doing good things, you're going to be good at doing bad things. And if you're living in the city where the only jobs available for the kind of things that would reach other people, all across the world, is the media, right? What choice do you have? You could either be New York Times or New Yorker or any of these leftist rags most of the time, right? If you're growing up in that environment. Otherwise, if you're a doctor or something, nobody's really going to know your opinion on world events. So what you're going to end up having is all these 4chan posts talking about, oh, Schlemiel Goldberg here wrote about how, white people have to get extinct. How would you hear any different point of view when it comes to who the transmitters of this information in all the urban areas are?
Right.
Obviously, it's going to be the people that are going to believe that shit in the first place, and you're not really going to hear from people otherwise. I mean, look, you could say a lot of things about Ben Shapiro and all that, but he doesn't believe in, like, the whole, white people, needing to be extinct and all of that stuff. As far as I know, like,
He doesn't seem to be, yeah.
It's not really about that.
I will say, so I live in LA, right?
Yeah.
Most of my neighbors are Israeli or the areas I've lived in, it's been predominantly Jewish and Israeli. And when I meet, I'll say this about Jewish people because everyone wants my take on the Jews, is that when I started noticing a trend with most Jewish people, and I do have Jewish friends, that they would ask me if I was Jewish, and most people who are Jews, when they ask me if I'm Jewish, and then I say no, then they proceed to act like I then do not exist at all. And I used to be like offended by that, and as I've got older, I've just cared less, and now I don't even know if it's a bad thing, actually. So in Texas, people always want to know, it's that great scene in No Country when he's like, I seen you was from Dallas, you getting any rain up that way? That's a Scots-Irish thing, where they want to know your family, they want to know where you're from, because if they don't know who you are or where you're from or whatever, they would just like come across you like on the trail, they would just kill you, like back in like the Old West and stuff. And that's a tradition we still have, like, oh, you from Whitesboro? Oh, you know the O'Reillys or whatever? And then that's how
Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I like the more you look at like the strongest nations and you understand like how important culture is for people and their texts and their history. I mean, we've seen what's happened with like colonization in a lot of countries where, Britain comes in, like historically, like they come in and then they go, okay, there's no borders anymore, and here's the Bible, and then they leave, and then it's like war, and it's horrific.
So the point that we're getting to is they should stay. They should permanently stay. They should have viceroys in India so that they're not going to have, trash all over the place. And it's going to be, with these trains that run really efficiently and all of that. Because that's kind of the...
My wife went to Kenya, and she saw like 3-year-olds pushing trash together in piles in the street, and they'd lay on top of it like baby birds and go to bed.
Oh, my God, yeah. I mean, that is the other thing. It's
I'm trying to kill for Devan. He's done. He's out of the bathroom now. I'm playing to Devan now. Yeah. That's something she saw. You can't get mad at me. Go on, Lev. Go on with the
baby bird.
Keep talking about the viceroys.
Yeah, the viceroys, exactly. So, I don't know. I really think, like, if, for example, we would have stayed in Iraq, we went to war in Iraq, and they say it's a horrible war, it's regretful. If we would have stayed in there, like, forever, turned it into just like India did with, just like Britain did with India.
Sorry, I'm fat.
Here, I'll take one too. I'll take one for the team. Cheers.
Wait, didn't you want me to eat wings on this thing?
We didn't get wings, but what we do have is biltong. So this, by the way,
okay, I'll eat
this is Anton's biltong. If you go to biltongusa.com and type in code word BTR,
it's actually really good.
It is really good. You are going to get free shipping on all of your biltong, and this is the Wagyu, by the way. It's really, really good stuff. I highly recommend you guys get it. And this, by the way, over here, this is from Mila's Puffs. It's a wonderful company, and these are crisps that are made of yucca potato from South America, and it's really good stuff. I highly recommend it. It's probably too crunchy for me to eat right now on the stream, but I guarantee you guys this is really good stuff.
It's good.
Yeah. But anyway, as far as empires go, why not? Why not have like the Western powers colonize the world and make everything sanitary and work efficiently? Like, why is that a bad thing? Because it's not even a racial thing. Like, I don't care who the people are that are going to be leading, whatever part of the world they happen to be in. They could be natives or whatever. The point is that they would have to conform to whatever is like the ideal Western standard. And
Yeah, you have to go over. You can't shit in a hole. You know, you can't hit women.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is also kind of... Yeah, there's a little bit of a tinge of regret.
This is like if Archie Bunker and Lex Friedman hosted a podcast together.
I mean, that is also, by the way, going back to Nick Fuentes, that is kind of like the reaction to that, too. We've gotten so over-civilized over here.
He's going to become so popular, man. Keep going, Lev.
But you know what I mean, right? Like, we've gotten so over-civilized here that half of us hate Western civilization. I mean, you could say he also kind of hates it, too. Like, he hates the part of Western civilization that's polite, but he just wants to set fire to the whole thing and have some kind of a Christian dictatorship.
Well, okay, but here's the thing, Lev. Like, when I went to London for the first time, you know what's the first thought I had walking around London? And, like, I'm in, like, Knightsbridge, right? So I'm in a nice part of London. But I've been in nice places in America. I've been in plenty of them. As soon as I was there, you know what the first fucking thought I had? I was walking through a very busy square. No one was screaming on their cell phone. There were no horns honking. It was fucking quiet. Everything was moving efficiently. There were train cars. It was so quiet. And I was looking at everybody. They perfect hygiene, looking around, fashionably dressed. And I went, oh my God, this is a civilized place. So I don't know, like, and I go, I love that. I really, really love that. Is that bad to like that?
You know where else you should go, which I think you'll like? Israel.
Oh, really?
Yes. Because here's the thing.
Here's his pitch now. Here we go. Lemon Party live in Tel Aviv.
Yes, Lemon Party live in Tel Aviv. It's happening. It's going to happen, I guarantee.
Yeah, I don't think we can get Jace over there, but, I mean, we'll try.
I don't think we bomb enough.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm not, like, comparing Israel to London directly, but Israel was not even founded by, like, Hasidic Jews. Like, it was founded by atheist Zionists who wanted to recreate Western civilization in the Middle East, basically. Like, that was their initial plan. And as far as, like, how people are there, like, they pretty much act like Americans, like New Yorkers. Like, it's not really that different. So my whole point is that I would rather people are more like that than, let's say, in Gaza, which, again, like, it's a horrible thing that's happening right now, and I definitely want it to stop. I don't know how exactly to make it stop, but they, for example, with that whole hospital, you remember that whole story about the hospital being blown up?
Hamas was under the hospital, and they blew up the whole hospital.
They didn't blow up the hospital. They fired rockets that went into the parking lot, but then the Ministry of Health in Gaza works directly under Hamas, so they were told to report that the hospital got bombed. There were 500 people that died. Meanwhile, it was 50 people, still, you know, very horrible, but it was Hamas rockets that ended up killing them. But despite that, like, the entire media just went with the narrative. They didn't question it. My point is that that kind of shit does not happen when it comes to whatever happens in Israel. Like, they don't just, like, fly their rockets intentionally, like, hitting Israeli people. You know what I mean? And that includes the Arabian people as well as the Jews. And that's the other thing. Like, Arabs live in Israel, Bedouins, you know, serve in the IDF sometimes, or in, like, the medical units, things like that. They have Druze. Arabic is the second language in the Senate. But at the same time, like, I'll be honest, like, the Arabian people that live there, from what I understand, like, some of them, they don't even pay property tax. Because the government knows, like, if they were to pay the property tax, they would, or if they were forced to pay the property tax, then they would start rioting. So in a way, they're kind of held hostage by people who don't really want to, you know, conform to, you know, like, we'll pay the taxes and we'll have, you know, the government in turn do this. And you know what I mean? Like, it's still a hard situation. But my point is that I would rather aim for the side of civilization and preventing deaths. Like, with have you ever heard of roof knocking?
No idea.
Roof knocking is a technique that the Israeli army does, where first they knock the roof with these bombs that don't kill anybody, just, like, make a lot of noise and shaking, and then they give, like, a 10 to 15 minute timer for the civilians, and sometimes for Hamas itself, you know, because Hamas can also escape to get out of wherever they happen to be in. And then they would proceed to bomb that building. My only point here is that, yes, a lot of bad things end up happening, but in comparison to, like, Muslim nations or, like, Russia bombing entire villages in Syria, you know, women, children, all of them completely obliterated, you know, nobody's questioning, you know, what's going on there. When Israel tries to do shit to minimize casualties, nobody gives it any fucking credit, and I understand why, because it's cringe. It's cringe to see Israel in the positive light.
That's right, Lev.
That's exactly right. It all comes down to this Dionysian emotional intelligence where people are never going to root for, like, the adults in the room. They're never going to root for the people who are like, well, logically, you know, we should do this. And it's like, shut up, fag. You know what I mean? Like,
now you're speaking my language.
They're always going to root for the Dionysian spirit.
Basically, Israel's gay, and that's why the Western world doesn't like Israel?
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
Yes, exactly.
Well, the adults are in charge, and they're giving them all the money, so, you know, they'll probably be fine.
Well, until Emperor Fuentes comes around, and who knows what's going to happen then.
I think he might be Hitler. You might be right.
Yeah.
I think he has what it takes.
It's possible.
I think if you met a guy like that, you would kind of... I think he would be so... Have you met him?
I haven't had the honor to meet him yet.
You're in every circle. I'm surprised you haven't met that guy.
No. I know people who are close to him. Like, I know people who
gay
are
male
in this
escorts.
Group. Yes, exactly. But at the same time, though, man, like, it is an incredible journey to be on where we actually get to see what happens when the inner psychology of people has absolutely no filter and it's out there. It's kind of like Chris Chan was talking about. Have you ever heard of the dimensional merge?
No.
But with somebody like Chris Chan has this idea called the dimensional merge, where his animated world of Quickville, which is, you know, Christian Weston Chandler, his full name, Ville, that he's the mayor of.
I didn't know he was like fucking Tolkien.
He has a whole world that he created, which is based off the people he encountered in real life. For example, he had this poster that he was walking around with in the halls of his high school, where he wanted a boyfriend-free girl, and he had all these various stipulations on, you know, what this girl should be like, and then this old witch named Mary Lee Walsh, who was the principal of the school, went to Chris Chan and threw that poster in the trash can, and he turned her into this witch in his Sonichu comic books. You know, he has this comic series. For those who don't know, Chris Chan has this series called Sonichu, which is a combination of Sonic and Pikachu.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
That's right. And he killed his mom or whatever, or raped her.
Raped his mom. But we'll get to that later.
He became trans and then raped his mom.
Yeah,
it's a tale as old as time.
That's revealing later on. But
Devan, by the way, it's a guy who became trans and then he had sex with they bullied him into having sex with his 80-year-old mother that he lived with. Anyway.
Yeah, that's why I drink.
That's why Devan got up and grabbed a White Claw as soon as we started talking about the lore of Chris Chan.
So Chris Chan, as a retribution to Mary Lee Walsh, he turned her into a character inside of his animated Sonichu universe, still named Mary Lee Walsh. And then people started making lewd fan art of her as this, like, demon dominatrix lady. So you go all the way from this, you know, probably like a nice, innocent old lady who has nothing to do at all with this world, into this character in this comic book, into this sexy dominatrix lady with big boobs who kind of looks like Rouge the Bat or something. So there's, like, these evolutions that take place of the character that Chris Chan creates in the mind of his fans, and then what his fans do also inform what Chris Chan ends up doing, and vice versa. And the whole universe is probably, like, more documented than Tolkien. Chris Chan is the most documented person probably in the entire universe. The dimensional merge, what that has to do with is bringing the world of our cartoons that we grew up with, including Sonic, Pokemon, including, you know, various animes, Family Guy, as well as the world that he created, into our real world, where it's all going to be like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's going to be that, basically.
Yeah, it's not, but... Chris Chan, if you're listening, it's not. Is the witch the main villain?
No, she's like, I don't even think he does anything with her anymore.
But the witch stole the girlfriend from him, the boyfriend-free girlfriend.
Well, the poster asking girls to become boyfriend-free girls for Chris Chan.
Well, so Chris Chan, clearly his deepest fear is castration. It has to be, especially because he has a fetishization.
No, he hates penises.
Hates penises. So, but that's the thing is he has a castration fear for sure. 100%.
Why do you figure?
This is the thing that Campbell talks about, especially with the witch archetype. Mm-hmm. So Campbell's theory is that men are born with a fear of castration. There's this myth of like the toothed vagina that you see in all cultures. Like, do you know the story of Kicking Monster? Like, the story of Kicking Monster is there's this boy hero, I forget the name. Basically, there's Kicking Monster, and he has 4 daughters. And Kicking Monster has 4 daughters. They're the only women in the world that have vaginas. Men travel from far across the land to obviously, I mean, every guy would do a pilgrimage to like Mecca to, get some pussy. But these guys, they go in the house where these 4 vagina daughters live, and they disappear. No one knows what happens to them, right? Every time they get close, Kicking Monster kicks them into the house, and they are never to be seen again. So now the boy hero of the story comes along, and he outwits Kicking Monster, and he goes in the house. Now this house is a vagina house made of vaginas. This is a tale, and I believe I think this is a Cherokee tale, or no, the like it's a tribe like the Jackarilla Indians or something in Colorado. He goes in the house. These daughters are made of vaginas. They're toothed vaginas, and they start cornering him, and he realizes he's going to be swallowed up and eaten. And he says, "How dare you women act like this? You're not supposed to use your vaginas this way. You're using them wrong." And he takes out from his pocket these sour berries, and he gives them to these women who have this insatiable appetite to eat him and to swallow him up. And they start chewing on these sour berries, and their teeth dissolve. And it's as their teeth dissolve, and the berries are so sweet and sour that it's orgasmic for them, and they experience an orgasm for the first time. And then for the rest of time, the boy hero like taught women how to use their vaginas, and then from then on, there's no more toothed vaginas in the world. So it basically saves. I guess it's like saves civilization. I don't know what the moral of the story is. They're like, that's why you shouldn't like maybe like blowjobs are like a sin against God or whatever, and that's why you should have like sex with women. But anyway, you see that type of myth across like a lot of different cultures, and the witch specifically has phallic fingers and a phallic nose, and the witch. I'm trying to piece this together. How he talked about it. So he said that girls are born with envy of a man because the man is born with a penis, and the woman unconsciously believes that her penis was taken from her, and the man believes it fears the woman because they will castrate the men because they want their penis, basically. And this is where like a lot of tension between men and women come from. He thinks this is like a deep psychological thing. If you look at look at the deep well of human history and you draw up all these stories, this is what he believes. Might be a load of shit.
So
he might be a gay guy.
When it comes to Chris Chan, he ended up transitioning, I guess you could say, or you could say that he's an auto-gynophiliac, where he likes to dress as a woman, present himself as a woman. He even had, for example, push-up bras that he wanted to advertise as a product for men. Like, he encouraged men to hide their breasts in push-up bras. And he considered penises to be ugly, disgusting, fantasizing about like being a girl and being like the daughter of his mother. That's why when he's talking about the relationship he had with his mother, his relationship with his mother was one where he was referring to himself as daughter. So do you think there is a relationship here with maybe Chris Chan wanted to bypass this whole, witch stealing his penis by beating her to the punch.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of saying. Like, he's so paralyzed with this fear that he goes ahead and it's a man so afraid to die that he kills himself. You understand what I mean?
Yeah. And as far as the
like he just wants to get it over with, basically.
And as far as the references that he had to manhood, when he wanted to prove that he was a man, and he had these trolls who demanded that he say that he's gay on the live stream, he said that he's gay in a very like, I'm gay, like not even saying it fully because he was so afraid to admit to anything to that extent. He had a Optimus Prime action figure next to him and a poster of Sailor Moon in the background as signs of masculinity.
Interesting. Yeah, he needs he's so fucked up. He kind of well, I don't know if it's fucked up, but his psyche is such a mess. He needs like all these different like representations of it like in the actual world for him to understand it. So he's like I'm like he has like the anima and like all these different parts of his ego so he can like make sense of them. But since he's so regressive and stunted, he can only understand it through things that he loved when he was like 8 years old. That's what's fucked up about him. Usually people, will go on to like read literature or watch films and they can understand, they use these things as an interface with the world to understand themselves and understand who they are and what they need to do and what needs to guide them, right? I mean, this is, again, I guess this goes back to the sort of the tribal thing we were talking about. I mean, that's why the King James Version of the Bible was so important for so many people, and especially for, you look at the Talmud and you look at the Old Testament and you look at all these texts for Jewish people, like, there's no situation you can find yourself in where you don't know what you should do, because you can read these stories and you know what the outcome is. There's never a different outcome with these things. There's never if you know these stories by heart, they sort of then unconsciously carry them out, and that's what a beautiful thing is about it, because you've been down that road before. Because you've read the story.
Yeah.
So then you don't make the decision. That's what's great about it.
It's not like you're even conscious of the decisions that you're making if it's like so ingrained.
That's
into
exactly
your brain.
right. Yeah. So there's a part in the Matrix where Neo can actually go back and stay in the Matrix world. Mm-hmm. They're in the car and he opens the door and then Trinity grabs him and is like, you've been down that road before. You know where it leads.
Yeah.
Come with us. And he's like, he looks out into the street and then he closes the door and continues on. He makes the decision to keep going. But that's what Trinity is saying. Like, specifically, she's talking to him. Like, you've already actually lived that story. But that's basically how I see, you don't have to get it from the Bible, although it's like, I think like the greatest like work of literature that we have.
Well,
and there's so many.
The Torah.
Okay, the Torah.
No,
okay.
I'm just fucking with you.
So, I mean, but I see people, they have great heroes and that aren't Christian leaders. Mm-hmm. And they have great heroes that, that are real people, that are fictional people, and they let those people sort of guide their life and inform everything they do. And that's a great thing. I mean, there's many ways to like get to the, to sort of guide yourself, right?
Well, when you say Trinity in the Matrix, Trinity means like a triangle as well. And when you think of a triangle, it's pointing into a certain direction. Mm-hmm. And if you look at a triangle in 3D, you could either see it as a pyramid or you could see it as a cone, where the bottom of the triangle is a circle. So you're like repeating the circle, snake eating its own tail over and over. And then you can like escape that and go like...
And transcend.
Transcend that spiral that you're through the spiral.
And then have you read Aeon by Jung yet?
Of course.
But then he gets into the quaternity. And then that's when you start seeing the shadow self and all that other stuff, and you go, "Oh fuck,
yeah,
shit is insane."
And Rudolf Steiner, who is this theosophist guy, he believes in cycles within cycles. I mean, he doesn't even believe in evolution. Like, he believes that humans are descended from these like energy beings that eventually solidified into like the human form. And like everything stems from thought that then got solidified into action, and then our desire to experience reality keeps us locked into reality. Like we're creatures of habit. So if we're like used to doing something all the time, it becomes like second nature, and then we're stuck in it, and it's very hard to get out. It's very hard to get out of that
and that's
circle.
the cycle within the cycle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that would apply to everything, like to the animals, even like the minerals, you know, the rocks. Everything is stuck. Everything has a certain lack of freedom, you know, in a hierarchy. And then I think the whole point of a human being is that we have much more of a choice. And this is like what the Buddhists believe too, that if you're born as a human being, you're very lucky because you're not like living in the realm of these lofty gods who can do anything they want. And they're kind of like stuck, just like living in this fantasy world all the time. Neither are you stuck in this cycle of pain and addiction like the hungry ghosts are.
I can't really remember the Greek myth, but there's like one where like all the gods are doing something, and like one of the gods like they know one of the gods like has to like reach his hand into something, and it gets chopped off, and then they all in the story they all start laughing at him because they know he has to live that out. They're under a different set of rules than we are. They go, oh, he has to do that, and he knows his arm's gonna get lobbed off, and he's like, fuck, and he does it. It's like he doesn't have any free will.
But that's kind of like the Jews, like what we're talking about. Yeah. No. I'm being very serious right now, Ben.
Okay.
Because the thing that I'm noticing about my people, about the J-Dogs, is that for their entire history, they've been kind of persecuted as a lightning rod. Like anything happens, you know, you blame the Jews. You know, the well is poison, you blame the Jews.
Really kicked out of like 300 countries? Is that that's what they say?
Like 100 and something countries.
Okay,
like the amount
we
of
won't
the
split
original.
hairs. Let's just round it up to 300.
Sure. But like, what the fuck are you gonna do if you're good at a lot of stuff, and you're also gonna have people who may do some bad stuff? People are going to concentrate on the bad stuff because you're in the out group, you don't belong, and now you get to do like the banking for everybody because they don't want to do that shit, they don't want to handle money, and so now you're going to be the person who's going to be blamed on all these problems. But in a way, it's kind of like by design. There was this legend about the Baal. You want more of the it tastes good, right?
Yeah, I'm burping and eating jerky.
Anton's Biltong, BiltongUSA.com. So there's this legend about the Baal Shem Tov, he's called, who is this mystical Jewish rabbi who put a curse on...
There's some great rabbis, by the way. They're like Nostradamus. They can see the future and shit. It's really weird.
Yeah, they can. They're very psychedelic. So this...
Maybe satanic.
Maybe. I mean, look, as far as Satan goes, you could say he's actually the good guy, but that's like a whole other... That's a whole other conversation.
Sure, let's get into Gnosticism
Yes,
now.
exactly. No, but the point is that since the Jews were always the outgroup, they were able to keep on existing. If the Jews were all of a sudden loved by everybody, there would be no Jews. Because they would just start intermingling and intermixing with everybody else. They'd have nothing that keeps them together.
Oh, interesting. So you're saying the hate creates the Jews?
Yeah, the hate creates the Jews.
So they would just be white people if we didn't hate them?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
So it's your fault.
No, because you guys are annoying. There really needs to be like a human resources department for Judaism. Where they come in, they go, okay, you guys gotta be better with your hygiene. You can't annoy people. You gotta do this. You gotta do that.
Oh, man. I mean, look, the Hasidic Jews, they wear black in the summertime and it gets really hot, but they do have the ritual baths, which brings me to the thing that I was talking about yesterday on stage at the live Lemon Party event in New York City. So there were these Jewish tunnels that you guys were talking about, and from the Hasidic people who I've spoken with, they say that it's like the mikveh, which is the ritual baths that the Hasidic Jews wanted to get into.
Oh, right. Yeah, you were talking about this. Yeah.
And because there's like a stretch of, I don't know, this highway or like, you know, a street that they don't really like crossing that much in order to get from their synagogue to the mikveh to take the ritual purification
Is that the videos
bath.
of Jews running across like 8 lanes of traffic?
I guess I haven't taken a look at the map yet, like where exactly that thing is, but I just imagine that it was very inconvenient and annoying for them. So I've
seen videos where they're like Frogger. These like Orthodox Jews are like, Devin, you've seen it, where they're like all running across traffic and like cars are dodging them. I don't know, what is that?
Even cars pay.
You know what I'm talking about, right,
I mean,
Lev?
look, I had
so that's why they have the tunnels.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, when I was 4 years old, I had a daydream, completely realistic, that I was like this old man walking across the road, and I got hit by this black car. So, Devin, you're absolutely right. Like, I may have been a Jew in my past life as well, and the car hit me, and you know, it all ends up working out.
See, like your whole thing is like they have to build the tunnels because of like they don't like to cross the street. It's like, well, then like we don't like you. Use the crosswalk, cross the street. Don't be a weird retard. But don't dig a tunnel because you don't want to cross the street. What is the explanation for not wanting to cross, like, you know, Fifth Avenue or whatever?
It's annoying, you know, like all the cars.
See, that's
it's like, why? It's like, imagine.
Yeah, but you can't do weird ass shit and then expect everybody to just get on board.
But it's like, who's being harmed? Who's being harmed by these tunnels?
They don't want to share the streets with other, like they want their own world. I feel like to be like segregated.
That is kind of true. Look, with the Hasidic Jews, Devin is right. That is kind of true. But you know what the good thing is, though, is that the Hasidic Jews, they may not like be big fans of hanging out with people who are non-Hasidics, including other Jews, by the way. Like, they discriminate when it comes to that, very much so. There's like this, there's this joke about this Jew who lives on an island. I know you're going to say Epstein's Island. I'm beating you to the punch.
No. I'll leave that for a lesser comic.
Sure. And there's this Jew who lives in an island, and he wants to build 2 synagogues on the island, one for him to attend and one for him to never attend. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, they want to always argue with other Jews over the triflest of matters.
Okay, so here's...
Yeah.
It seems that there's some sort of impulse within Jewish people to become Jewish when it's a time of persecution. I know people that haven't talked to me ever
Brett
about
Gelman.
being... He is one of them.
He is one of them, yes.
Where it's like all of a sudden Jews are being persecuted. They go, well, and all of a sudden they start talking about being Jewish and they become obsessed with it.
It's annoying that we didn't have Mossad taking
I am
Brett
for
Gelman.
that.
Or Mossad, you know, take him out somewhere, you know, to pasture or whatever. Because, you know, like a person like that is not, you know, or Amy Schumer, they're not doing people any favors because they are annoying as fuck. And people don't like being talked down to.
By the way, after this, I'll tell you a big guy in media who is Mossad.
All right.
I'll tell you after the program.
I actually talked with a guy in
a big
Mossad
political guy.
I talked to a guy in Mossad recently about Jason Jirjani's idea that Israel should have actually, instead of going into Gaza, they should have invaded Iran and got rid of the government there, which a lot of Iranians would actually support them doing.
Oh, wow.
And you know what the Mossad guy said?
What?
He said, that's a great idea. I wish we could do it, but we cannot because America won't let us.
Oh, interesting.
So it's actually like, it seems like it's, you know, Israel's controlling America. A lot of it is the other way around, where
for sure.
Israel is kind of like hamstrung by America not wanting it to do certain things. So it's always like, you know, fighting with like one hand behind his back, you could say, when it comes to solving these things. But anyway, when it comes to Brett Gelman, who I always love all the stuff that you post about him and putting him rest in peace.
When I got way too many shares on saying he died. I didn't know, like, I thought it would be like, you know, 10,000 impressions or something. I didn't think it would be getting to like 1 million. But people thought he was dead.
But in a way, maybe we need the Brett Gelmans of the world to keep people hating Jews. Because if people like Brett Gelman were not as annoying as they were, then maybe this whole plan that's been in action, you know, since Yahweh, who was actually an alien who guided the Hebrews in a UFO to the mountain and gave them these laws, you know, that plan would not have come to be as it was. Because that, I think, is the likeliest thing, by the way. Like, either the whole thing is fake, either the Torah was just, you know, written during Babylonian captivity and then, you know, made to be this whole big thing, or there was actually like this, as Jason Jirjani believes, like this Aryan-looking Nordic alien people who guided humanity, who were like the gods of the Sumerian text. They were the Anunnaki. They were the people who spliced different genes together and to create the human beings of today. And they were the ones who then guided the Hebrews. They were the ones who implanted, according to Jirjani's book, Iranian Leviathan, they implanted a microchip in a teenage Muhammad in order to then transmit psychically the Quran to him in order to create Islam. So they were behind all of these major world religions because they don't live in our time. They live beyond our time. They live in like a 5D reality or something like that. So they can manipulate things in certain places in time in order to create certain results.
Does he make a good case for this in his book, and do you
Yes.
believe it?
It's likely. I'm leaning on this actually.
Really, you
yes,
are, Lev?
Yes.
Come on, man.
Yes.
Come on. You're going
I
into Anunnaki territory?
It's more likely it's that than like the God that created the entire universe comes to a dude in the form of a burning bush. You know, it's much more likely that it's just like higher end beings that are manipulating our reality rather than like the God doing all of this for kicks. Because in the Bible, if you know your Bible,
Those can't be the only two choices, though.
I don't know what's the other choice. Well,
I
the
don't
other
know.
choice is that it's bullshit. The other choice is that it doesn't
Maybe
exist.
God's a big, beautiful black woman, and who knows? I mean, maybe there's no God. Maybe.
Yeah, and is it worth it to say otherwise? Right? Is it worth being fired? Question that?
Being fired, what?
To question that God is a black woman?
Look, I read The Shack. I'm a big fan of that book. You know that book, right?
No, what is the shack?
It was like every Christian person I knew had like people had like strokes and died when this book was published in like 2005, I think. It was a guy who published a book where a guy goes into the woods and there's he's like cold and freezing and he's lost and he finds this shack and he goes in there and there's this black woman who like cooks for him and nurses him back to health and stuff, and then once the storm clears he goes on his way. I think that's the plot of the book, I'm pretty sure. And then he realizes in the book like God is a black woman. And that's the whole book. And like people
Wait, so it's not like God is
people
in
were
all
really
of
mad
us.
about that. I think. Let me look it up
wait,
to make sure I get it right.
The conclusion is not that God is in all of us, that God is a black woman.
But I think that's the
Interesting.
point that he's trying to make in the book.
Yeah. And by the way, Ben, while you're looking this up, I just want to say to everybody who's watching on YouTube later on, after all of this is edited, guys, if you want to have these streams before they come out on YouTube, go to patreon.com/breaktherules, become a patron today. You're not going to regret it. And $20 plus patrons are going to get to be in the studio. And Devan, you could testify to the amount of food that I have in the studio right now and drinks and all this good stuff. So 20 plus patrons are going to be able to enjoy the experience of watching all these live in New York City when you guys are in there. And this is like for all the New York City people or people in the tri-state area or people who know that they're going to be coming down to New York at a certain point. So become a patron today, patreon.com/breaktherules, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Do you really think I should read the book about aliens?
It's an amazing book.
Is it as good as like Aeon?
I think it's as good as Aeon.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll read it.
I'm
not going to become the alien guy. If I do believe in it, I'm just going to keep it to myself.
It's called Closer Encounters, and it's an amazing book, and it talks about how, I mean, I'm not going to get into the whole thing right now, but, you know, the idea is that we were created by these higher beings, but these beings are also malevolent, and what they want to eventually do, according to him, is bring the world back into like a medieval stage and get rid of technology, because the technology that we have right now is leading us closer to the singularity, where eventually we're going to be able to create a zero-point energy device that anybody, like unlike nukes, anybody could build this thing in their backyard and like wipe out half the world's oceans.
See, that is one of the theories, and then also your friend Brian Chow, I think, who I did, who followed me back weirdly, even though that Brian's so smart. I'm sure I'm muted by that person immediately, but God, that guy's so fucking smart. But constantly tweeting about how they're excited what AI is going to do, and then that all of this people being getting their feathers ruffled about the future of technology. It's all bullshit. That they think it's just going to make society a better place to live and everything's fine.
Well, it depends on what technology, right? Because if you have the technology to have free energy, for instance, or nearly free energy, that same thing could potentially be used to destroy the entire world. And if it's something that anybody could just like look up or like ask the AI to, hey, design me like this device that can blow things up. Like think of the amount of people right now, all the incels that would just like, take the whole world out with them rather than, And I feel for people like that as well, because if you're born and you're not attractive to the opposite sex, then like what are you going to do?
I guess be a gay.
I guess so. I mean, in a way, like, I really liked a lot of the people who I met at the Lemon Party live show, but I also noticed, like, there were, let's be honest, there were some people out there.
No, we'll be honest.
Yeah.
We were honest during the live show.
Yeah, who were from mental institutions.
Dude. Severely mentally disturbed people were there, for sure. Yeah, the early show was a fucking shit show.
Yeah, there was that British guy who was there, right? Mm-hmm. He's like a big guy on Patreon for you guys. Like, he writes things.
Yeah, he flew from London.
Wow. Does that mean he's got a lot of money? Like, he can...
So who knows what's going on?
Yeah.
I'm just glad he didn't bring a gun.
Yeah. It's like he'll either bring a gun or he'll bring, like, the college fund for your daughter. You know? It's a game of chance, Ben. You're just gonna have to roll those dice.
Look, there's a lot of fish in the sea. I'm just swimming in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you're swimming in it while profusely, intentionally bleeding from like one of your arms in order to attract the sharks.
That's what podcasting is. You're swimming in the ocean. You have to keep cutting yourself to attract more predators.
Exactly.
That's funny.
Almost like teenage girls, when they cut themselves.
Yeah, to get attention.
Yeah, from predators as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's what podcasting is bleeding. It's just like bleeding on air.
Yeah. But it is something that you still like enjoy doing. Like you get energy out of doing the podcasting.
Oh yeah, it's the best. I think it's a better medium for comedy than stand-up. To sit down, you don't know what you're gonna say, and you have to be very quick and very funny, and you get to. I don't really enjoy anything where I'm not able to surprise myself, and I do not enjoy repeating myself. I like repeating the same things over and over, but I don't like saying the same things over and over. And if I catch myself repeating something, it makes me really upset.
Well,
and sometimes I start boring myself, and I can't even be eloquent and explain it. And stand-ups will say the same thing 700, 800 times. Yeah. And they have to feign this enthusiasm for it like they've never said it before. And that is the thing I've never been able to really, really care about. I think this thing that me and Devin and Jace do when I'm not trying to talk about it like it's this big special thing, but it's for me, I love comedy so much that it's the best medium for doing this stuff and making sketches. Those two things I love more than anything.
It's the best part of the Chimpkin.
No, everybody, all of your intellectual fans have no idea what you're talking about. All the people that are listening to this.
So describe the legend of the Chimpkin.
Yeah, there's a big fat guy on YouTube who he can't talk because he's like so retarded, and that's how he became really fat. And he says he's eating chicken from Bojangles because people just film themselves eating trash now. They go, "Oh, I'm eating trash. I should turn the camera on and upload it." And he's eating chicken. He eats the fried breading off of the piece of chicken. And he looks into the camera and he goes, "Best part of Chimpkin," which is funny because it's kind of like a guy if he like ate a candy apple and he ate like the candy coating, and then he said, best part of apples." He's not eating chicken. Mm-hmm. He's eating flour and oil, but to him. It's his favorite part of the chicken. So he has no idea. Some people they have no idea what they might. Some people have never even thought what chicken is.
Yeah.
They see chickens and they eat chicken and they don't know it's the same thing.
Well, it's a similar thing to just a human being where you would have somebody who would be totally enamored by like this bimbo wearing all this makeup and plastic surgery and these fake lips, and that's what they think like a woman should look like. Like they were oversaturated with something that's just like completely over the top. that now, like, when they would see just like a normal woman, they're like, what is this? You know, it's so plain, you know, in comparison to like the stimuli that we're used to, you know, saying like, you know, big butts and stuff like that. It's like, if it's too much, then you're not going to be able to appreciate the nuance.
Right. Yeah, it's the but then some people, that's the thing, like Chris Chan and like these guys, like they just go too fucking far. Or like they start like they can only like masturbate to a drawing of a woman who's like literally like the scale of like Jupiter. Like literally, like they'll put her in outer space. She's so big, and that's what they want to masturbate to.
A ham planet.
Yes, it's. There's you can only suspend your disbelief. I mean, can you really be jacking off like, oh yeah, she's as big as she's floating around Saturn right now. She's so big. It's crazy.
Well, with the inflation fetishists, you know, they take characters like Sonic the Hedgehog and they, you know, turn him into a big balloon, and sometimes they would pop him, or sometimes they would turn him into a human toilet, you know, like literally, like not being used as a human toilet, but an actual morphing into a toilet. And I don't know why it's happening. I don't know why, for example. No, I know why it's happening. You know, let's be honest. But I don't like it
Because of the chemicals in the water.
Exactly. You know, they're not just turning the frogs gay. You know, they're causing.
They're turning people into gay frogs.
Exactly. But when it comes to this kind of fetish for something like, you know, Five Nights at Freddy's with these animatronics.
I finally had to. I watched that. Yeah. What do you think of that?
I think that,
you know, it has a cult following, even though it sucks ass and is really bad.
I mean, look, in my day, we had Princess Sally Acorn, who was Sonic's princess girlfriend in the animated series.
Oh yeah,
and she, like, if you look at her, well, first of all, she only wears like a vest. Like, she doesn't wear like any pants, you know, Porky Pigging it. And so I think that was like a nudge by the animators early on, like, hey guys, you know, like, are you into this? Are you liking this? And then we had like people like Ken Penders, who took over the Sonic comics, and he just like started putting all these sexual references in there and having, you know, Sonic holding Sally up. And when you look at Sally's body, it's like the Venus de Milo, you know, you see all the curves and the breasts and all of that. And this is like a children's comic. But honestly, that is like way better than what's going on today with like Five Nights at Freddy's and all of that bullshit. Because at least there, they were appreciating, you know, like the female form, while now it's gone beyond that. Now they're just like having sexual attraction for like shapes.
There's the porn of like the cameraman and what's it called? Skibidi Toilet.
Oh God, yeah. See, that's what I'm talking about.
Kids want to fuck a woman whose head is a camera. And I've really been thinking about that a lot, actually. Especially because I have a child now. And I'm like, man, she's always on camera. Crib, bassinet.
Yeah.
When I'm in the car, there's a camera pointing at her. And in the back seat, I have it wired to a screen in my minivan where I can see her on camera. There has to be some sort of subconscious thing that is built into the psyche of kids now, where that's got to be embedded in them, that they're always being filmed, and they must know this on some level. I don't know what it is. That fucking freaks me out. That Skibidi Toilet is speaking to the psyche of a 5-year-old. The enemy is a camera, are people with cameras on them, and I don't know, it's very strange. It's very. That's where all their fears and anxieties come from, is from like the phone and the cameras, right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense that that's what they're ultimately trying to escape, right?
And they're self-censoring themselves as well, you know, even from the get-go, from whatever goes on all the way inside. Like, they wouldn't even let themselves have certain ideas that would be antithetical on both sides too. You know, like the Nick Fuentes fans, they wouldn't be able to allow themselves to have any ideas that would be outside of the scope of whatever is considered to be based and red-pilled in that particular world.
Right.
And they're kind of holding themselves to these tribal groups. And again, going back to what we talked about with Jason Giorgiani, he believes what Nietzsche believed, that in the end, a lot of these people are just going to become robots. They're going to be hooked into the Matrix. They're going to be hooked into the Neuralink, And from there, they're just going to experience the kind of world that they would want to live in. And at that point, they would cease to be human beings, because if you're not struggling against anything, like if you're just like accepting whatever it is that you want to keep seeing over and over again, it's like it's like a camera staring into itself. At a certain point, you just run out of anything to base your reality on. At that point, you're just like receiving pleasure all the time, and at that point, I think most people are going to be replaced with robots. But you, Ben, and Chase, and Devan Costa over here, you guys are not going to be part of it, because you're going to know that that's coming. So you're going to escape, and your daughter, you know, and your wife, and you guys are going to live. And what's your dog's name?
My dog's name?
Yeah.
Gracie and Emma.
Gracie and Emma, you know, God bless them. Dog bless them. You know, they're going to be all right. You guys are going to be fine, because you're aware of it. But I think that a lot of people will be born into it. Yeah, they're not going to exist as regular human beings anymore. And I think a lot of AI is going to be in charge of doing our regular day-to-day tasks. But is that a bad life? Like, I'm talking about this being some kind of a dystopia, but...
Yeah, man, I don't know, because then, like, because you watch The Matrix and you go, well, I don't want to wake up in the goo egg.
No, but why would you?
And then
you're
brought
already,
onto the ship and eat fucking worms in a cup?
Yeah. No,
put me back in the egg.
But that's the point, though. You are not going to be in it because you're already aware of the problem.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, that is the thing. Like, if you put someone back in the Matrix and they're aware of it, can they really enjoy it?
No.
Probably not.
No,
so,
probably
yeah,
not.
I guess I just have to eat gruel out of a mug and talk to some fucking freak and sleep on a cold metal slab with a shitty, like, tunic-style blanket.
Or you can join the globalist elites, and you can enjoy, you know, rare steak and caviar and, you know, live a good life. But there's probably going to be a bit of a payment for that. I don't know.
Dinner's fucking boring.
But you like food, though.
Opulent lifestyle is the most boring lifestyle of all time. It really is. I mean, dude, all these people are able to go to dinner all the time, and, like, they're just on pills. They're on tons and tons of, like, prescriptions and drugs and stuff. They're not enjoying their life at all. None of them are happy. I guess it'd be fun to be like a king. Like, if you maximize it, like, because then you can torture people and make them entertain you, essentially, like make them feed you grapes and stuff. But all these guys, like, I've walked past restaurants here in Manhattan where I'm like, oh, that's literally, I saw Jamie Dimon eating with his wife and another guy and his wife. No one's having fun. No one's having a good time at all. They're sitting there eating salad, drinking wine. No one's talking to each other. They're not having a good time. You go to the food court at the mall, people are laughing, pounding the table. I mean, sure, there's a lot of sad-eyed, you know, gray ghouls that are sitting there not enjoying themselves, but you're way more likely to see someone having a good time and being happy there than you are at those kind of restaurants, for sure.
But you think,
rich
like,
people don't have fun.
You'd think that there's so much opportunity to have fun. You could do all kinds of wonderful things with your money. You can go out and,
but it's much like Grand Theft Auto, which once you apply all the cheat codes, you only play for like an hour and then you get bored.
The only smart thing you've ever said.
I got to relate it to the streets.
No, you're a street guy.
Well, that is exactly like Buddhism that I was saying earlier. That those people are the equivalent in our dimension of the gods, where they can do whatever they want, and so eventually they get miserable because there's no challenge anymore. And that's when you also get like the Epsteins and all of that shit popping up.
Yeah, man. You got to keep a fire in your belly. You can't fucking let that go out, and it's over. Absolutely. What's the fucking point? There's a reason people retire and they die.
Yeah.
No fucking reason to keep going.
Yeah, and I guess in a funny way, the Jews, going back to them for a second, they're also a microcosm of that same idea. Because once the pressure is off, then there's no real need to fight as much. And then you're just going to congeal into whatever happens to be the dominant thing for the next 1,000 years. And then what? You know what I mean? Like, the problem is that, like, all these other civilizations, like Rome, Greece, you know, they had, like, a height, and then they started dissipating. Like, nothing of this sort lasts, yet it seems like the Jews did last for all this time, you know, despite all the annoyances and all this stuff, they still keep going. And I think, like, there's a lesson in that for everybody.
There is. The lesson of the cockroach.
Oh God, Ben. Well, at least he didn't say rat.
No, but I mean that's why they get compared to like cockroaches and rats is because they just keep going no matter what. It's why they do. Okay, it's why they do.
That is a little bit. You go like Saul Goodman being compared to a cockroach.
No.
He keeps coming back.
No.
Very driven. They just don't. They refuse to lose.
They're resilient and actually they're very sophisticated.
We should actually take back cockroach and rat. They're amazing creatures that can handle anything.
Devin's my PR guy off to the side. I have a little piece in my ear.
Except Lemon Party stock's going way up.
Lemon Party stock is booming right now. This is why Lemon Party is doing well.
Yeah, because like the Adolf Hitler coin is going up, and
Hitler coin is going way up. I'm a little actually. I know I've brought it up twice now. I'm a little haunted by you saying that Fuentes will be the next like Hitler in America, because you saying that kind of vocalized something I was a weird unspoken belief to me. Because I've been watching. I've been aware of that guy since like 2016.
Yeah.
When like no one knew who he was, and I was like, "Oh, this guy's like he's very articulate. He's smart. It is entertaining." But I'm like, he's clearly like a gay neo-Nazi. But then you rationalize all these people. You put them in this box, and you go, "But they'll never." Like no one will.
That's what they said about Hitler.
No one will ever care, and he'll just always be in the gutters of society. And then all of a sudden, it's like he gets kicked off of everything. I'm like, well, his life's over. He's just going to be live streaming for like grapers on some website forever. And then he's standing next to Kanye West, one of the most famous people in the entire world. And I'm like, well, fuck, maybe. I'm like, that's got to be a blip. That's got to be a blip. And then he just keeps coming back up. And then Elon lets him back on Twitter. And I'm like, man, he's going to fucking dominate. He's going to look so much cooler than all these people on Twitter. They don't know how to use it. Ben Shapiro's bad at it. Abby Shapiro's fucking horrible at being online. She's not charismatic at all. She just gets dunked on. She has huge tits. She could just post selfies with her huge tits and be like, go Israel. What?
Kazar milkers.
She has huge tits. They're really nice. It's too bad she has Ben Shapiro's face, oh
God! But there is something though to be said for the quality of his audience though, because I don't think like this whole conversation has been about how humanity's kind of going down the Skibidi toilet, if you will, right? And so when we're talking about, well, all of these people love this person, what does that mean about those people though? It doesn't mean that these are like intelligent people who are at the forefront of some, great innovation. These are just people who are reacting to things that they don't like going on, but they're just as coon-brained, they're just as degenerate as the things that they are going against. They're all in the same shitty toilet.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's funny about it when you look at it is you see people like fighting and they're like the same guy.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like both losers. And
so, but
neither of them get pussy and nobody cares if they live or die.
But that is kind of like the decline of civilization in a way, where if, for example, what we're going through right now is on a downward trajectory, which, it may very well be, then the question is like, how wonderful or how powerful is this movement if the people that are composed of it are just complete degenerates? You know what I mean? Like it just seems like something that is going to lead to way more destruction and way more stupidity, idiocracy style.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what. Did you see Alex Garner's Civil War yet? Me and Devin went to see it.
No, is it good?
It's great. It's fucking amazing. There was this Black Rifle Coffee guy that was sitting in front of us that was so mad, even though he doesn't realize the movie's pro his bullshit. But it doesn't matter. What the guy really got right about the movie is that there's going to be pockets of people within America that are going to pretend that nothing is happening, and they're just going to like keep eating McDonald's and watching TV. You're going to drive through a town and it's pretty normal, and there's not a civil war going on, and there's just people just buying horse shit. Online shopping, eating McDonald's, and they'll just pretend that nothing's happening. And I'm gonna buy a nice property in one of those places.
But here is where
I'm
I
not
think,
fighting.
It's actually great. It was made by a British guy.
It was, yeah, Devin's right, because it was made by a British dude.
It didn't have a slant or anything. It's just this, you know.
You needed an outsider to make a film like that.
Exactly. I respect the British. But I think that the Jews have a role to play in what's going on as well, because if everything is going downhill as far as the intellectual level of the people that are following all these different cycles, then if the pressure is going to be that much more on the Jews, both from like the left and the far right, you know, if Nick Fuentes takes over, that amount of pressure is like putting so much weight on your deadlift that at that point, you are going to get way stronger than you ever anticipated before.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And the like, if you ask like certain Kabbalistic-minded Jews about like what is the mission of this whole thing, what is Judaism about? What it's supposed to be is the Messiah is supposed to come, and the Messiah is not like Jesus. It's like just like a leader who's going to create some kind of a reset in society where things are going to be balanced out. And one way of looking at it is that it could either be really, really good or really, really bad. And the Kabbalists, for example, some of them believe that all of this pressure is on the Jews because the Jews have to teach the world how to be altruistic. And because there is that much responsibility on the Jews...
Jews have to teach the world how to be altruistic?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
No, but see, that's the whole point, right? Because people have this opinion of the Jews already. The Kabbalists say that's intentional. People are supposed to think of the Jews as that because the Jews are then supposed to flip that around and work on turning their egoism into altruism. And when they do that successfully, and it's going to be super hard, but if they do that successfully, everybody else is going to follow. Everybody else is then going to flip the switch and start seeing themselves as part of like this greater thing. I don't know if that's real. But
I'm rooting for the Jews then. If that's the case, I mean, I hope they can be the great revelators, you know?
We have a couple of things with the patrons here that I'm going to quickly read. So David Wirtz said, I ate a leftover burger patty and tater tots for breakfast. Alonzo, great patron.
Very
Alonzo
good.
Said,
very good. Keep it up, fatty.
Alonzo said, W dad. So a win for your dad.
Oh, nice. Very good. Thank you.
Devman, who you met yesterday.
Yeah, Devman.
Yeah.
Great. He messaged me about the oldest form of meditation and stuff. I'm going to look into it.
Yeah. He says, Lev, take Ben to your bathhouse. So next time we're going to go to the Russian Turkish baths, maybe on a men's only day. You know,
sounds good to me.
Yeah. And Rangi Shad said, we need more insight into these bathhouses.
Well, I think we'll put out that episode that you were on. So.
Oh man, that's gonna be a fun one. Yeah, because the thing is that it was even worse than I let on. Because I was wearing like a mindfold, and I was wearing the Russian hat, and I was wearing like a nasal dilator because I wasn't just meditating. I was doing the Wim Hof method.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
In the bath, and it wasn't like I was sitting next to the people that were sexually active because I was, but then I heard it and it was too much. Like, you know what I mean? I had to get out of there and go to like the hot Russian room because that one's so hot.
Yeah,
I'm not able to do anything in there.
I'm telling you right now, I'm never stepping foot in a bathhouse. I think the moment I step in a bathhouse, I get fucked in the ass and the mouth. I'm not getting in there.
Is there like prostitution going on at those places?
Not that I have seen, but you never know what happens, under the covers.
Is it gay or is there women too there?
No, there are women. This is the thing. Like, it's men only on Thursdays and Sundays until 2 p.m. Then it's co-ed. Then all the men have to begrudgingly put on the shorts. And then it's like, there's some hot women that go there, and it's a good time. So, you could have a lot of great times there, but you just have to be careful on which days you go. At this point, I didn't really have a choice because, it was yesterday, and yesterday was the show, and I was in the city, so, But anyway, great time. I highly recommend, Ben, that we go there, maybe on a co-ed day.
Okay.
And,
I'll put a cork up my ass before I walk in.
Yeah, just to be safe. David Wirtz, this is the final message here. Only NPCs can live in the Garden of Eden. Any final words with that, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I read the Nag Hammadi. I agree with that guy.
Oh, yeah.
I agree. Listen to the serpent.
And we're
Gnosticism. It means it originates from gnosis, right? And gnosis means knowledge.
Yep.
You got to eat the apple, folks. It's the beginning of the whole thing.
Yeah, you got to eat the chicken, not just the
you
best part of the
the chimpkin of the knowledge of the tree of Was it? What is it in the Garden of Eden? It's the tree of life.
The tree of knowledge.
The tree
is
of
the one
knowledge
that they ate.
So
There was also the tree of life.
So it's the Chimpkin of knowledge.
Yes, exactly. You gotta peel back those layers of like the fat and the grease and get to like the healthy stuff. Otherwise, you're just always going to be in.
That's fucking right, because it's like he's on the surface of the Chimpkin,
Yeah,
and he doesn't even know he's not even eating the Chimpkin.
exactly.
That's wow. That's like a beautiful metaphor for like this whole thing.
It's sort of like a Plato's cave allegory.
It is.
Yeah, exactly.
He thinks the shadows are the wow. How about that?
Yeah, he thinks the shadows are the all-you-can-eat KFC buffet.